Hey guys, this is Dissb. This is footage of my Prestige 8 Warlock Mage. Let me take that back. This is footage of my 51 Pyro Mage in Rift 1.6. I was just curious to see how much damage Pyros we're going to be doing in Rift 1.6, so I'm running 51 Pyro, 15 Archmage, and 0 in Archon. I've also done something a little different in comparison to all my other videos, which is I've enabled the ability icons and ability names just so you can see or gauge what sort of damage you can expect to be doing as a Prestige 8 Mage. I'm pretty much a one-trick pony when it comes to mages. I haven't strayed, or I've never strayed away from the Warlock, so playing 51 Pyro is completely new to me. And it's going to be mainly used for test purposes, just to monitor damage. I'm going to slow the clip down to 50% here, and please note I never use internalized charge or heat wave. I'm just pretty much going to use 6 different spells, your 6 main spells, which are the ones I was really curious to see. This Pyromancer lives for quite a long time, which is great because it's really going to show us all the different spells within the arsenal of the Pyromancer. You'll see a wide variety of spells that I use here, including Fireball, Countdown, Flame Bolts. Here's some Flame Bolts. These Flame Bolts hit extremely hard. Here comes Cinder Burst, 1200, followed by a Fireball, 1700 crit, and I'm going to drop an Inferno, which also crits at almost 1700. Back at normal speed here, looks like they have the part, but I'm not going to focus too much on the part, and instead I'm going to try to Cinder Burst this guy, about 1100. Followed by a Fireball that hits for almost 1600 non-crit. Not too bad. Here we get another Cinder Burst. Hits for about just under 1000 non-crit again. And the Inferno here hits for 650 non-crit. Now, one of the things I'm noticing instantaneously is the global cooldown ability that's new to the Pyro. I am definitely able to cast my spells a lot sooner. Very noticeable and definitely a lot more fun. Looks like I get another Cinder Burst proc, which hits for just under 1000 non-crit. I'm really curious to see what my Cinder Burst crits for compared to my Fireball. Now, I'd really like to test out this build in conjunction with Warlock, now that they've made the synergy between the two souls playable. It'd be really interesting, especially since Warlock Opportunity is only 10 points into the tree, and you get 2 very useful spells, which I can see already being a problem for 51 Pyro, is you don't have a way to heal yourself. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just 8 points into the Warlock will get you 2 very, very useful spells, which is Sacrifice Life for Mana and Reconstruct. I can see 51 Pyro really playable if you had a pocket healer. There's just a lack of real survivability, and just adding maybe 10 to 15, maybe even 20 points into Warlock could really make a powerful hybrid class that has utility and burst damage. There's plenty of burst here with all the reactionary spells. Seems like I can do a lot of stuff constantly on the move. I love Countdown. It's a great way to time your burst. As much as I'd love to have Fulminate with the new changes to it, I could easily see myself giving it up in exchange for some passive abilities in the Warlock tree, such as Opportunity, increasing charge, increasing spell crit, spell damage, you name it. There's just so much more utility in the Warlock tree. There's just a lot of useless stuff in the Pyro tree that I'd much rather have an opportunity proc and drop down a Cinder Burst or a Fireball. Here I get a Fulminate, 2900 damage. I think a lot of us will enjoy playing 51 Pyro. Your basic strategy is to kill them before they kill you. Yes, it's absolutely fun just looking at these numbers. Personally, I'd like to have the flexibility to be able to maneuver them to a place where I want. I'd like to extend, bait, all the different techniques that I've been teaching in all my videos. Here I have this warrior in a one-on-one fight. I really don't know what the hell I'm doing, and eventually end up dying. Since this is my first Warfront in Rift 1.6, I always try to be unbiased. I am showing the first daily Warfront. You can see it in my quest log on the right hand side. So I wanted to test out a few things. I want to test out Searing Vitality. According to my calculations, should hit for about, I don't know, 75% harder. Also wanted to test the new Void Bolt, and I wanted to see the new changes on Devouring Shadows. One of the reasons I don't play with my ability names and icons are, if you look at my screen, since I am a dot spec, you'll see a lot of damage just flowing all over the center of my screen, and it just drives me nuts to a point where sometimes I can't see what's going on. So here my Searing Vitality is hitting for 200. That is something I have never ever seen. Normally it ticks for about under 100. It's a useless spell, but the benefits of receiving 500 hit points totally outweighs it. So here's that Chloro in the very beginning of the Warfront. Hopefully it'll stay up long enough while I spam some Void Bolts. I do have 2 death dots on them. My Void Bolts are hitting for 700, there we go, 1400, which is very noticeably higher. I think my Void Bolts were hitting for about 1200. I can tell you right now, I probably won't be changing my specs. Seems like we've got a little buff increase. And I just really feel my spec is so much more versatile in any situation, whether you're pugging. It's great for when you have pre-made. And what I really like to do is I like to lead the charge a lot. And here we have these 4 Defiant. If my team wasn't following me, I would still go up there and probably try to kill them all. And that's just something I feel a Pyro, 51 Pyro, or 51 Stormcaller could never do. So here I'm dropping down my Devouring Shadows, just checking out the damage. About 600 crits, not too bad. And I do notice that if I am able to land a Dark Fury on someone, and I get the full duration of a 2.5 stun, my Devouring Shadows can at least tick for about 600, which is good to know. The only real concern I have right now is off opportunity procs. I'm not really sure if I want to drop a Pillaging Stone or a Void Bolt now. Before the answer was pretty obvious, but now that my Void Bolts are hitting harder, I'm probably going to start dropping Void Bolts. Also thought I'd be forced to drop more Life Leeches so my Void Bolts can hit harder, but at 0.75%, who really cares? So here I'm going to drop a Devouring Shadow, and I am able to get 2 ticks off before he's able to react, which isn't bad. So my thoughts on 1.6, I think Tryon did another exceptional job. I think they are definitely going to keep the interest for the existing players in this game. There's a lot of major changes. Not too sure about the balancing issues at this time. But I think you're going to see a lot of people sitting at the trainers just respecking, playing different classes they've never played, such as Archon or Elementalist. So I think in a few weeks we'll really see the outcome of Rift 1.6. I'd love to hear what you guys come up with. Drop me a line. This is Dissb. This is footage of my Prestige 8, Warlock Mage. If you like what you see, simply hitting the like button on YouTube goes a long way.